Okay, perfect.
Yep. So the reason we got started on this tool to begin with was because the first time we did KCS, one of the biggest problems we encountered was that it was really hard for coaches to do their jobs. We had them entering data into Google Sheets for their AQI scorecards. We had them collaborating in Google Docs to remember, okay, well, who coaches who and what level is everybody. And it really was just kind of all over the place. And so this time around, we really wanted it to be fully integrated with Salesforce so that agents didn't have to go in and out of Salesforce and in and out of the article structure in order to do their jobs. We wanted to make it really easy for them to do their coaching, because coaching was one of our biggest initiatives, especially when Monique came in. It just became a very strong thing that was driving our KCS initiative this time around. So yes, yay Monique. I understand. And so the first thing we needed to do was to get all of the information around coaching to be stored in Salesforce. And what we did was we built a KCS entitlement object. We didn't want to put it on the user object itself because we wanted to have specific profiles have access to make changes to these at any given time without letting them actually modify the user object. And so we thought it would be really simple, instead of having to go in and edit individual profiles, to create this KCS entitlement object, which is an out-of-box Salesforce object that is just I wouldn't even say it's customized. It's just an object that has a few fields in it. Each entitlement has a user, which is the KCS user, and their KCS level, which we can change here, and their KCS coach, which can be changed here. You can enter any coach user, and then their manager, which is set automatically, along with a history, so we can see when someone's coaches or KCS level is changed. This structure in Salesforce automatically applies all of these fields to the user's fields. So anytime you're looking at a case or a user report or anything like that, you can immediately see their KCS level and their KCS coach. So that made it really easy for us to go ahead and build a tool that was built around all of this information, so that anytime this stuff changes, the tool itself automatically updates. Are there any questions on that entitlement setup before I move to the tool? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Is the entitlement setup only available on Salesforce, or is it also available on other CRMs like Zendesk? If you know, by any chance, or if anybody knows.
This one we
built. Is it customized?
Yeah, it's customized for Salesforce. But again, I think Zendesk has a similar abstract object structure where you could create your own object type and call it a KCS entitlement and just give it these 4 fields. It would be probably the most simple object structure you could build. And then just have it apply the fields. And then have it apply the fields back to the user. And the nice thing too is that, oh, go ahead.
Okay, so what I was also saying was this is not really a customization, it's just an object, and Jackson, correct me if I'm off, but the entitlement is just an object out of Salesforce, and we may have tweaked a couple of fields, which I consider configuration, not customization. So this is really low effort work.
Yeah, zero code involved in this, which is, we try to keep it as low customization as possible until you look at the Akamai dashboard, which is definitely code. The other nice thing about this is that it's very easy to make a view to kind of filter this out. So like if you wanted to create a view that shows me, hey, I want to look at the KCS entitlements where the coach is Yukitoshi or something like that, you can very easily just filter and see a view of only that. Or if you only want to see level 3s, or look at ones where the manager is a certain person. So it just makes it really easy to look at filters and views like that. So that's the reason we went with that approach. Once all of that is in place, this dashboard that we built here is, it is all customized using Visualforce code. We provided mock-ups and requirements to build this. but it's pulling in all of those fields automatically because they're already in the system. So this is meant to be a coach's view when they log in, and we see pretty much every coach is looking at this, and it shows them. So Yukatoshi here is one of our best coaches, and they have looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 participants, some of whom are coaches, because Monique also implemented a coaching on coaching program, which has been awesome. And then you can really easily get an overview of how each of your participants are doing in regards to their AQI, their KB attach rate, and the accuracy of their attaches. Then we can also see how many articles they've edited or added in the past. We have week, month, 60 days, or 90 days. And then how their articles are being used or reused, viewed. And then also our coaching sessions are all stored in Salesforce as well. So just to give you an idea, each of these pieces here, so the AQI scorecard and the coaching sessions are also custom objects. Like Amit mentioned, they're more configurations of standard out-of-box Salesforce objects. So the KCS scorecard, for example, we just made a type for each one of these. I believe Salesforce also has a package or an app that has some of these objects. We opted to create our own because we had a few that we wanted to really keep out of box looking, but you can see each scorecard here has the title of the article and who the article was created by and their coach, along with information about the scorecard itself. So the total score, who created the scorecard, when it was created, and also the scorecard criteria. So again, this is all just an out-of-box Salesforce object that we just created to be a KCS scorecard. And similarly, the KCS one-on-one session configurations, we have meetings that each KCS coach is supposed to have with their user or their participant every week, or at whichever given session configuration we want. Right now it's weekly. And so those are coaching records here. And you can see that we have kudos and opportunities for improvement for each one and how long we spent on each coaching session. So again, this is more the background structure of these objects, very, very simple, all of which get pulled into that Akapedia dashboard that we're looking at here. So I'm just gonna go back to this coach. So everything that you see here is pulled in through those. So those average AQIs are just looking for any scorecard where the user is, for example here, Michio, and then averaging their AQI over the past date range here. And we wanted it to be very action driven. So we looked at what we want the most actions for coaches to be taking. And those are things like adding in coaching sessions, adding scorecards, so scoring articles that haven't been scored yet. So to add in a session for a one-on-one coaching session, it's really easy to say, oh, I haven't had a one-on-one session with Michio in 10 days, and it's supposed to be each week. So it's very easy to just click a plus button here, go have that session and say, I spent 30 minutes with the user, enter their kudos, opportunities for improvement, and you're done. And so we keep it really, really simple for the coach, as opposed to our first round of KCS, which was a lot of overhead from the system side of things. And we really like to think that, you know, tools can follow process, but in this case, the tooling was so inefficient that it really prevented coaches from following the process because they had to get out of the CRM so often and look back and forth, and it was very, very difficult to report on. And these articles to score here automatically show any articles created by a participant or by one of their participants that either hasn't been scored yet or has not been dismissed. So you can say, hey, I'm not going to score this article for whatever reason. But for the most part, it's very simple to just say, okay, I see I haven't done any scorecards for Swati yet in the past 30 days. So I see Swati has an article to score here. You can just go ahead and press that plus icon to do the scorecard, check out this article, review it as you would as a coach, And then in our feed here, we just integrated it into the article feed itself. As a coach, you can create a new scorecard right in the article instead of going back into Google Docs and copying and pasting all sorts of things, and just fill out each one individually. Good, good, need fix. And you can see what the point is assigned for each one. Enter any notes that you have, any compliments or constructive feedback. Hit save, the user gets notified, and it automatically removes from this articles to score section and gets added to their average AQI here. So I know that was a lot of things all at once, so I just wanted to slow down and ask if anyone has any questions or any specific things that I can demo for you.
Can you show them the accuracy checks also?
Yeah, sure. So if we look here, we can see again, Swati doesn't have any accuracy checks done recently. And so this use accuracy shows how accurate the articles are that they're attaching to cases, which is pretty subjective. So we really do need coaches to be doing that. And so again, we just press this plus button. And then we can see here the Akamai case ID. So that's our internal case ID that we use. And so it's very easy to click and open those. I'm not going to load the cases just because there might be customer information in them. And then also the article number that's linked. So you can look at them side by side and get an idea of if this attached article is relevant to the case and resolve the issue of the case. And then it's a very simple marked yes or no. It was accurately attached or it wasn't attached. And then you're done. And Monique also brought over a lot of wisdom around how these attaches can be done. So even if no article is linked, we can still mark whether or not there could have been an article linked, which is pretty cool. And so if there wasn't an article linked, why? Could there have been one? Could there have been an article created or modified? And so that's been really helpful for us in identifying tickets where there are not articles attached.
Hey, Jackson, this is Lenny. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the KCX coaches are the ones who do the accuracy check.
Yeah.
Do they typically have all the information to validate its accuracy? For example, if it's a technical issue, do they have the technical expertise to validate that it is a relevant technical article? Or do they have to see outside counsel?
Yeah, in our org, most of our coaches are pretty technical users. I would say our entire support org is unusually technical, mostly because it's engineers interacting with other engineers at other companies. And so the coaches tended to be people that were more interested in growing and learning. And so I don't know, Monique, if you've noticed any difference, but I would say that most of the coaches have been technical and able to determine whether or not the issue could have been resolved with that article.
Right, yeah, and we have in the process too that if there is doubt from the coach, regardless, they should be discussing it with their mentee to agree upon, maybe there's something that they're not understanding and just why they maybe attached it, how they see it's relevant. So there's always some kind of agreement that's done.
Right, so there's a feedback loop back to the
to
the person attached to say, hey, why did you attach this?
Yeah, so all the stuff they discuss during their mentoring session.
Because I wouldn't think that would always be the case, that the coaches would have that technical
So there's a subtle difference here between relevance and technical accuracy.
Yeah.
When people get into debating technical accuracy, that is often a never-ending conversation. The decision maker on whether it's technically accurate ought to be the customer. This actually solved the problem.
Yeah.
Once you open the gate to have people express an opinion on technical accuracy, highly not recommended. That's the right way to say it. Relevance, I could probably look at cases and articles and assess relevance with an 80% confidence, and occasionally might need to go talk to a subject matter expert. But what we're really looking for is the article relevant to the case? Does it appear to resolve the issue the customer asked? And not is this technically accurate, because that's a can of worms that we haven't seen anybody really solve. Was the customer satisfied with the answer? That should be the deciding factor on does this resolve the problem. Relevance is, does the article accurately reflect like the way the customer described the problem is captured in the case. And I think one opportunity to really help complement the manual effort here is to use text analytics. There's a relevance score. This article is linked to this case, and a text analytics engine can tell you, give you a sense of whether or not they're actually relevant.
Didn't TTC do something like that? I thought that they showed something. What was it?
It was Oracle.
Okay,
But
yeah.
it was a pilot, and for some reason it was put on the shelf. I love that idea. I think.
Right.
The
Well, it
work
kind of
can
helps
do
flag
that.
what you might look at versus everything. So.
Yeah, but just I think it's an important but subtle difference, the difference between relevance and accuracy.
I have a quick interjection too. I just heard the word mentoring and mentee. So mentoring and coaching are two completely different things. So I don't know if that is understood, and you guys are actually doing mentoring, which is very different than coaching, or if you're sort of using the two words interchangeably. So just a
I think it's
So Beth, what in your mind, what's the difference between the two?
Well, a mentor is someone who is an expert at what they do, and their job is to bring someone else's expertise up to their level. So they're teaching, telling, sharing. A coach's job is to bring out the best of someone else by asking questions, encouraging, inspiring. So the coach is walking side by side, the coachee, where a mentor is 5 steps ahead, looking back and, pulling them along.
So technical subject matter experts could be mentoring other agents in terms of their technical expertise.
But that's a very different role, and it's a different skill
Yeah.
set and different people you would choose, and it's a whole different way of looking at how are we helping people move forward. So it's just very different. And I think a lot of people do use them interchangeably, but it's just helpful to know the distinction so you can be more clear.
That's a good comment, because I don't think we were as particular about those terms.
right.
But this comment does help, and I think our intention is